lights where dreams collide. We hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies love you, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Popping can is swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide. We hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies love you, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Popping can is swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide. We hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamin. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. All right, so hello, Claudette, Leon, We the People, 57 Beige Fox. All right, Terry Hinton, Aquarius Rising. Let's get into it, Leon. Okay, Desmond, Shawshana, Nessa G. All right, shout out to all my loyal roads and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Pretty Wings and Quiet Storm, Emperor Rex. Okay, so with that all being said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so with that all been said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so something very interesting. Trump has fired the entire National Science Board as an attack on research. Now, don't you all find that interesting? Because I sure do, especially given all of these missing scientists. So let's get into it. Likes up. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, here's the report. Fresh off the press for today, the White House abruptly dismissed the entire board overseeing the National Science Foundation, informing each of its 22 seated members in a terse email on Friday that they had all been terminated effective immediately. Now, the move follows a Trump administration push for deep cuts to the NSF and raises concerns in the scientific community that a tradition of independent decisions for allocating federal science grants could be jeopardized. Now, one of the fired board members, Willie May, who is vice president for research and economic development at Morgan State University, says he's deeply disappointed, but not at all surprised. He said, I've watched the systematic dismantling of the scientific advisory infrastructure of this government with growing alarm, and the National Science Board is simply the latest casualty. Okay, this is what May said. He's a chemist and former director of the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Now, the reference is to the Trump administration's weakening or marginalizing of science advisory bodies across governments, including the ousting of advisory boards at the Environmental Protection Agency and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, where Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. got rid of members of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. Now, at the Food and Drug Administration, the Trump administration also moved to eliminate a long-standing policy of having outside experts review new drug applications. Now, the National Science Board was established by Congress in 1950 and signed into law by President Harry S. Truman. It's a major funder of basic science, math, and engineering research, especially at colleges and universities across the United States. Members are appointed by the president to staggered 6-year terms and do not require Senate confirmation. Now, the board, made up primarily of academics and industry leaders, is charged with identifying issues critical to the NSF's future, submitting the NSF's budget, and approving its programs and awards. This is a darn shame. Now, in a written statement sent to NPR by email, the White House said the firing of the board was in line with a 2021 Supreme Court case, U.S. versus Athrex. Okay, that raised constitutional questions about whether non-Senate confirmed appointees can exercise the authorities that Congress gave the National Science Board. They said, we look forward to working with the Hill to update the statute and ensure the NSB can perform its duties as Congress intended. Now, the National Science Foundation's work continues uninterrupted, according to the statement. Legal scholars contacted by NPR were mostly confused when asked about the White House's statement. Duke University law professor Jeff Powell, and a leading expert on the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, says there is a puzzling disconnect between firing the board members and the White House's statement. He said if Arthrex applies, eliminating the NSB members leaves it unaddressed. Now, the Trump administration's firing of the NSF board is just the latest move aimed at the agency. In the White House's preliminary budget request for 2026, it sought to cut $4.7 billion from the NSF budget, more than half of the agency's $9 billion budget. Now, the administration has also rescinded thousands of already approved NSF grants. Do you all hear this? So they rescinded all the grants that have already been offered. Now, Roger Beachy, a professor emeritus of biology at Washington University, was one of the board members fired on Friday. Now, though his term was set to expire shortly, they say he's still concerned the NSB could become partisan, taking orders from the administration rather than being independent, though he emphasizes that it's too early to know for sure. Beachy is worried that basic research could take a back seat to short-term goals as defined by the White House. He says, if we target what we know to be a focus of the administration, then fields that interest the administration, such as nuclear energy and quantum machinery, may be all that gets funded. Now, astronomer and physicist Kevin Stasson, who also served on the board until Friday, shares that concern. He told NPR that the National Science Board was created to safeguard far-reaching long-term investments that may not pay off for a generation. But when those investments do pay off, he says, society is stronger. The board's role is to ensure such decisions are made wisely, soberly, patriotically, and in the national interest. Now, California Democratic Representative Zoe Lofgren, the ranking member, or Zoe Lofgren, the ranking member on the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee, which oversees the NSF, calls the administration's move an attack on science. She points out advances in technologies such as the internet, CRISPR gene editing technology, and Doppler radar. These were NSF funding, or this is where NSF funding played an important role. She says at one time, NSF grants were merit-based. Now they appear to have more political influence in addition to a falling off just in terms of the volume. Texas Representative Brian Babin, who chairs the House Science Committee, said in an email to NPR, every president expects advisors to serve in a manner consistent with executive and legislative priorities. I look forward to seeing whom President Trump selects to fill the NSB and refocus our science agencies on their core mission, pursuing science. To be sure, there are some scientists who are less alarmed. Gennady Samorodnitsky, a professor of operations research and information engineering at Cornell University, has received NSF funding in the past. Now, it is the task of the government to figure out what's best for society. The money comes from the government, so ultimately the government makes the decisions. Willie May, however, is concerned about what the cuts to science funding and the chaos at the NSF says to America's rivals abroad. Saying that at a moment when the United States faces intensifying global competition in science and technology, when other nations are investing aggressively in the research and the STEM workforce that will underpin innovation for the next century. Now, we are systematically undermining the institutions and the people dedicated to keeping our country on the leading edge. So that's not good for our country. It is not in the interest of American workers, American industry, or the next generation of scientists who are watching what we do at this critical time, he says. Oh, honey, Trump is low down and dirty. Now, why would he do this? Why would he do this? Now, this just makes me have more questions about these missing scientists because you're attacking the science community. That's what it seems like. Okay. What is this all about? Because I'm sure he has a nefarious plot and plan behind it, in my opinion. Nessa G said, so is he going to take that money too? And that's what it sounds like. Okay, because they'd already slashed the budget in half before they went there and fired the entire board of members. 22 people fired via email. But hold on, it gets worse. For James Comey, at least. Grand jury indicts former FBI Director James Comey for a second time. You know, that low-down dirty dog Trump, if he can't get you one way, he'll damn sure try to get you another. Now, the Justice Department has secured a 2-count indictment against former FBI Director James Comey for threatening President Trump by posting a photo on social media. You all remember the picture? You all remember? Let me just pull it up real quick. Okay. The message in the sand. This is all so petty. It's so stupid. Okay. First of all, does this hardly look like a threat? Only somebody who's grasping at straws, one so ridiculously foolish and obtuse, okay, as Trump would try to go so far as to make this into a crime. Oh my Lord, that man is absolutely the devil. Hold on. This is what he's been indicted for, y'all. Please pay attention. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That's what the man's been indicted for, 8647, meaning remove him from office. Now he wants to imply that the man said 86 as in take him out. Okay? Please pay attention. So anyway, goes on to say, this is the second time the Trump DOJ has gotten an indictment against Comey, a fierce critic and outspoken opponent of President Trump. A grand jury handed up an indictment against Comey over a photo he posted online last year of seashells on a North Carolina beach arranged to say 86, 47. 86 being old slang, meaning to get rid of, and 47 seen by some as a reference to Trump, who is the 47th and the 45th presidents. Now, Comey did unknowingly and willfully make a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States, in that he publicly posted a photograph on the internet social media site Instagram, which depicted seashells arranged in a pattern making out 8647, which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret as a serious expression of an intent to do harm to the President of the United States, according to the indictments, which is all a load of BS, which was unsealed on Tuesday and filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of North Carolina. Now, the grand jury also issued a warrant for Comey's arrest, according to the documents in the case. Both of these counts carry a maximum prison sentence of 10 years. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said this at a press conference on Tuesday, saying threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice. He mentioned the DOJ has also prosecuted several other cases against people threatening Trump. Now, while this case is unique and this indictment stands out because of the name of the defendant, his alleged conduct is the same kind of conduct that we will never tolerate and that we will always investigate and regularly prosecute. This is what Blanche says. Now, the post last May prompted an uproar among some Republicans, with Donald Trump Jr. accusing Comey of calling for my dad to be murdered. They just always over embellish and exaggerate and flat out lie in most cases. Administration officials last May said they would investigate. Comey said that he didn't realize some people associate the numbers with violence and took the post down. He said at the time that he assumed the shells were a political message, not a violent one. It's unclear who created the shell formation. He says, I'm still innocent, I'm still not afraid, and I still believe in the independent federal judiciary, so let's go. That's what he said in a Substack video in response to Tuesday's indictment. Several legal experts have also said Comey's photo to seem to fall in the bounds of political speech protected by the First Amendment. Now, Blanche pushed back against such criticism on Tuesday, saying, I don't know what critics say that especially today, but it's not a very difficult line to look at, he said in response to the reporter's question on Tuesday. You are not allowed to threaten the President of the United States of America. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision and a statute that they passed that we charge multiple times a year. Now, a statement for Comey's lawyer or from his lawyer said Comey vigorously denies the charges in the indictment. We will contest these charges in the courtroom and look forward to vindicating Mr. Comey and the First Amendment. All right, so this indictment is seen as the latest move by the Justice Department to use its vast powers to go after Trump's perceived political enemies. Now, Comey has been an outspoken critic of Trump since he led the FBI during the president's first term. Trump fired Comey in 2017, 4 years into his 10-year term, as he was overseeing an investigation into alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 election. A federal judge in November dismissed an earlier DOJ attempt to indict James Comey, as well as New York Attorney General Letitia James. Now, the Justice Department charged Comey with making false statements and obstructing justice in connection with his testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2020. Prosecutors say Comey lied to the Senate committee when he denied having authorized media leaks. Comey denied the charges. U.S. District Judge Cameron McGowan Curry found that the acting U.S. attorney who secured the indictments, Lindsay Halligan, was unlawfully appointed. The cases were dismissed without prejudice, meaning the Justice Department had the ability to bring them again. So this time they went digging to see what else they could find, apparently, and that's what they came up. Like I said, if Trump can't get you one way, he's darn sure going to try to get you another. Absolutely nefarious. Okay, I find it also interesting. Well, now with that all being said, everyone please like and share. Thank you in advance. So, Diddy is being sued, according to TMZ. Diddy is being sued. Now, you all remember Jonathan Hay. I interviewed him once. He is Rihanna's former publicist, and he's the one who admits to lying about Jay-Z and Rihanna messing around, putting out that whole lying rumor to get publicity for Rihanna. Now, he has sued Diddy, claiming that Diddy sold a Biggie shirt and forced oral, allegations or oral sex allegations. Now, Diddy wants the case tossed. So Diddy is drawing a hard line against Jonathan Hayes' explosive lawsuit, filing a response in court that basically says the publicist's shocking allegations are flat out false. Now, the music mogul just filed his official answer to Hayes' amended complaint, and he starts by generally and unspecifically denying every single allegation in the lawsuit. He also denies Hayes was harmed at all and says Hayes isn't entitled to a dime. That's a major response to a lawsuit packed with jaw-dropping accusations, no less. Now, as we first reported, Hay claims that Diddy masturbated into one of Notorious B.I.G.'s shirts during a 2020 warehouse visit and then threw the Eamon with an S covered garment onto him while saying R.I.P. Biggie. Hay also alleged that Diddy shoved his cucumber in his face during a separate 2005 incident and later amended the lawsuit to claim Biggie's son, C.J. Wallace, helped to lure him to a location where Diddy allegedly attempted to force his cucumber or force him to taste the cucumber. Now Diddy's legal team is aggressively pushing back. According to the new legal docs obtained by TMZ, Diddy's attorneys raised the defenses that Hay consented to the alleged conduct or even welcomed it, one of the most aggressive arguments in the documents. They also argue Hayes' false imprisonment claim falls apart because there was no actual confinement and suggests any alleged restraint was done as part of a lawful citizen's arrest. And if any physical altercation happened at all, Diddy's lawyers say it may have been self-defense and claim Hay acted with hostility. Now, the filing also argues Hay may have waited too long to sue, may have contributed to his own damages and failed to properly mitigate them. So in other words, Diddy's not just denying the allegations, he's attacking nearly every angle of Hayes' case. Diddy wants the entire case thrown out and judgment entered in his favor. After months of brutal allegations, Diddy's legal team is officially telling the court they believe the entire lawsuit should go nowhere. Now, what I find interesting about this is Diddy saying that he's bisexual? Because it says that he welcomed it. Welcomed what? The part where it says Diddy's attorneys raised the defenses that Hay consented to the alleged conduct or even welcomed it. One of the most aggressive arguments in the document. And I believe he did, because here's the thing. If he already did something to you in 2005, why would you be anywhere near him and around him privately in 2020? Okay? Ha! So he has that shirt just like Monica Lewinsky. Jonathan, did you keep that t-shirt as evidence? It has Diddy's DNA on it. Ask OG Patrice. I have several questions, honey. Did he do a Monica Lewinsky? Well, I guess we're going to find out. All nefarious. All nefarious. But if you thought that was crazy, wait till you get to this next story. We're about to talk about these men, multiple men, beloveds, were allegedly rugged with a D and R-worded, great at super predator Epstein's secretive New Mexico ranch. Local survivors have come forward for the first time as New Mexico presses on with its reopened investigation into the isolated Santa Fe property. So multiple men were rugged and graped at Epstein's remote New Mexico ranch. Okay, I find this also interesting. Hold on, beloveds. What just happened here? Okay, goes on to say, Democrat Congresswoman for New Mexico, Melody Stansbury, fighting for justice for survivors, says one alleged victim claimed that he had been invited to a party at the late PDF file's 7,500-acre Zorro Ranch, where he was plied with rugs and graped. In the recently released 60 Minutes Australia episode, Stansbury said the unnamed man described multiple young men graped at the ranch in front of him after he was rugged. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were serial abusers. They really were super predators, and it was just how they lived their lives, she added. Harrowing testimonies heard in Sunday's documentary aired as state authorities pressed on with a reopened probe into allegations of abuse at the compound. Now, authorities in New Mexico are now trying to determine how many local women and girls were abused at the ranch after a number of residents came forward with fresh allegations. To date, only one resident was known to be from the state. But state representatives Mariana Anaya, who co-sponsored the state's Truth Commission probe into Epstein, said Monday that the group has been in contact with a number of locals who now say they were also abused at the ranch. Wow. One says, I can confirm that we have been reached out to by local alleged victims. This is what she told Reuters. She says, it marked the first time the commission has acknowledged contact with locals who say they were abused at the ranch during the quarter century Epstein owned that he owned the property. Now, the Truth Commission is working with the New Mexico Department of Justice to help survivors who may have viable criminal cases to bring charges against Epstein's co-conspirators, Anaya says. Horrific claims of abuse have come into focus since New Mexico reopened its investigation into the allegations of child sex trafficking at the ranch in February, citing the U.S. Justice Department's release of millions of files on Epstein, including allegations that he buried the bodies of two girls in hills outside of the property. That tip-off claimed to have been written by a former ranch staffer, alleged that two foreign girls had been buried near the ranch, having died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Now, the note sent to the FBI was seemingly never even investigated, and the state of New Mexico shelved its probe into the ranch in 2019 following a request from federal prosecutors in New York. Shantae Davies, who has previously spoken out about her alleged abuse at the ranch, detailed her experiences to 60 Minutes Australia, saying Zorro Ranch was probably the most eerie, giant and quiet and literally in the middle of nowhere place, and miles of just mountains and dirt for miles, she said. She went on to describe hearing the other victims waking up in a dark room with a female doctor standing over them, feeling like maybe there is some kind of procedure that had happened. Davies, who said she was abused by Epstein between 2001 and 2005, remained haunted by her time at the isolated ranch, where she said no matter how loudly you screamed, nobody could hear you. The sprawling property includes a 21,000 square foot mansion, a log cabin, a guest house, a pool, and an airstrip on part private, part public land. State officials told CBS in 2019 that Epstein was so secretive about it that they had very little access or knowledge about what was happening there. Davies said she spent a lot of time in a room like a mouse in a trap, waiting for a knock on the door and for someone to say, Jeffrey is ready for his massage now. She said that would mean grape. She said she remembered overhearing conversations about trying to create the perfect baby and a hunt, if you will, for the perfect gene pool. She told CBS News in 2019 that she often saw random young women, some models, other women at the ranch, but was unsure whether they were sexually abused. Now, Maria Jose Rodriguez Cadiz, who heads Solace Sexual Assault Services in Santa Fe, the only such support center in the region, said in 2019 that around 45 people had approached the center to seek information, therapy, and other services in relation to alleged sexual abuse on the ranch. She estimated that between a quarter and a half of those contacts were from women who said they had been abused at the ranch, although she added that the center did not keep detailed records. Wow. So y'all hear that? This is also egregious. All these years after Epstein allegedly escaped prison, this is what comes out. So I want to go to this report from NBC News, Epstein's other house of horrors, Zorro Ranch. So let's go to this because this is about a 14-minute long video. And again, this is from NBC News. So let's get into it. Like, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Let's get into it.
Jeffrey Epstein owned the largest property here in the state of New Mexico.
I was like, okay, these people are important. And they had named it Zorro Ranch.
So this is the ranch, what it looks like as the sun is setting. You can see it over the horizon there.
I've seen a lot of really bad things. I haven't seen anything to this extent.
That's the gate my sister went through, like to the gates of hell.
What happened here? How did it happen? Why did it happen?
I believe the first cover-up was in 2019 with me.
Some breaking news overnight.
Billionaire Jeffrey Epstein,
once connected with some of the most powerful figures in the world, was arrested late last night.
Decades before Jeffrey Epstein's name appeared everywhere, he quietly bought this New Mexico ranch in 1993, sold to him by the state's former governor, and renamed Zorro. Off a two-lane road going the back way between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, right on the edge of the radio signal from AM station KIVA.
We're on the Rock of Talk 420 here on the Kiva.
Eddie Aragon has been hosting his show here for 14 years.
We've been covering the Epstein stuff since inception. So naturally, a lot of people with concern were picking up the phone and calling me with various tips or ideas.
One of those tips, an unsigned email, came later that fall.
The big part of the email that really impacted my decision to call the FBI is the fact that you had mention of two women buried in the hills outside Zorro Ranch, two younger girls where they had engaged and died in rough fetish sex. And so that was very definitely a red flag.
It's why he says he reported it immediately.
We went in and we itemized the various components of that email. That was it. And I never heard from the FBI again.
By that point, Epstein had been dead for months after his suicide behind bars. Following his arrest earlier that year, in July, investigations into his abuse ensnared his other properties, like in Manhattan, Florida, and the Caribbean. But in New Mexico, federal investigators told a top FBI official, at this time, we don't have probable cause for a search.
Do you think the feds should have searched the ranch back in 19?
Absolutely.
Hector Balderas was the New Mexico Attorney General who had opened his own investigation into Epstein until the Southern District of New York asked his office to stand down.
As soon as we began investigating in the summer of 19, we were contacted by the New York DOJ, and they asked us to stop interviewing some of the survivors that we were both targeting. And that was for reasons that they didn't want to create duplicate testimony and potentially put at risk the case.
Did that seem reasonable to you?
On the front end, yes, that's very common. You pick who's got the bigger hammer and you work together.
What was unusual, he says, is how federal prosecutors then went dark instead of sharing information later that could have helped New Mexico bring state charges.
We assumed, with their reputation for being aggressive, that they were going to be aggressive and then share that evidence with us. It was a very simple 1-2 punch.
And that's happened before in other cases.
Absolutely.
But it didn't happen here.
It didn't happen here. And every lawmaker and investigator is asking the question, why would you enter his house in Manhattan or in Florida and not search here?
Balderas didn't know federal investigators determined they had no probable cause to search the ranch. And he had never heard, for example, about the unsubstantiated tip referencing buried bodies shared with the FBI, which is not commenting on that, nor is the DOJ. Balderas only discovered it all when the Justice Department started releasing its Epstein files last year.
I think that it is embarrassing and appalling. I believe the first cover-up was in 2019 with me.
The former Justice Department official who helped lead the DOJ's Epstein investigation at the time did not respond to our request for comment. And a current DOJ spokesperson says if new investigations uncover potential federal crimes, we stand ready to work closely with our law enforcement partners to prosecute.
You come up here and you look at it, the sun is setting now over these, 7,500 acres that Epstein used to own.
Zorro was massive, stretching for miles. Pictures from the Epstein files show women or girls on horseback, riding ATVs, taking target practice. A small village of cottages where staff lived sat down the ranch road from the 26,000 square foot palace Epstein built, with a pool, an opulent library, tall fireplaces framed by chandeliers. For the survivors of his abuse, a house of horrors.
Epstein's former ranch is right past this fence here. His house is up on that ridgeline. But in the shadow of the front gate, people have put up signs. They've posted pictures, trying to keep the focus on the survivors and the investigations.
One of those survivors, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who died by suicide last April, trafficked by Epstein for years.
It's really hard. I never anticipated. It's really hard to look at that gate and think that that's the gate my sister went through, like to the gates of hell.
Giuffre's brother and sister-in-law offered to meet us near the ranch, where they saw for the first time this cross bearing Virginia's name.
You know, we know that a lot of pain here happened, but like part of me just wants to feel close to her. So it is beautiful to see her represented in a beautiful way.
When Giuffre came to Zorro, she preferred to sleep not at what she called the castle, but in a cottage closer to the stables, where on her early morning rides, she writes, I could remember what it felt like to be free.
She wouldn't even stay up there. She would stay down here because she felt more connected to nature. And this was all about like trauma and, you know, the horrors that would happen behind those doors. But also, I mean, look around us. Like, there's nowhere to go, Hallie. I mean, there's nowhere to go.
It almost gives an abuser this perception that I can do whatever I want here. And no one will know. You can scream as loud as you want, and no one will hear you.
Are you getting the runaround from workers' comp after your work injury? You're not alone. A lot of injured workers are.
And that's why it was so important for us to show up, because New Mexico deserves visibility. New Mexico survivors deserve visibility. This is another chapter that we must take a look at.
At least 10 girls and young women say they were groomed or assaulted here, including Annie Farmer, who was 16 when Epstein paid to fly her to Zorro in 1996 to join what she thought were other college hopefuls looking to volunteer overseas. Instead, Farmer found herself alone with a predator who crawled into bed with her before she hid in a bathroom. Shantae Davies has said publicly she was raped twice here. A Jane Doe says Epstein sexually assaulted her with a vibrator there when she was 15, recalling in court testimony feeling so small and powerless. Rachel Benavidez remembers her first time heading up the driveway at Zorro, past multiple security checks in her 20s.
It was very intimidating, and I always wondered if something would happen to me. There was a sense of fear. There was a sense of isolation.
Newly certified as a massage therapist, she met Epstein a couple months later, and that's when she says she was sexually assaulted by him repeatedly.
After the 2 years that I was assaulted, raped, abused, I just completely shut down.
Pressured to return again and again.
I wasn't protected as a child, and so my whole life I just didn't know how to handle myself around men, you know.
Benavidez has rarely spoken publicly before.
Until we are heard, until survivors are heard and believed, then I don't think there's ever going to be any justice.
Does it feel like there were missed chances to hold him accountable?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Justice is not always linear, and here it's been elusive. But the truth, the real story of Zorro Ranch, that could be in reach.
We deserved this story. We too want to know what happened.
State House unanimously greenlit a commission to investigate Zorro, led by both Democrats and Republicans.
I think what bothers me the most, knowing the extent of what happened, why nothing was done.
Representatives Andrea Reeve and Andrea Romero say the goal is not necessarily criminal prosecution.
It may be too late for a prosecution, obviously, but it's part of what we're doing. It's not the target of what we're doing. The target of what we're doing is trying to help victims get their stories out, help New Mexicans understand what happened, why it happened, who was responsible, hopefully It gives these victims some closure.
What do you make of the lengthy history that Epstein had with powerful New Mexicans?
If there is a connection between his ability to outskirt the law because of those political connections, that's something of great importance to all of us.
Bill Richardson was the former governor of New Mexico who died in 2023. He's referenced hundreds of times in the Epstein files, visiting Epstein even years after his Florida plea deal. Virginia Giuffre says Epstein trafficked her to Richardson, who called that allegation completely false.
This is about the rule of law. This is about New Mexico and New Mexicans, and more broadly about the survivors who are part of this story. So whoever comes up,
even if that's Bill Richardson.
That's right.
The Truth Commission wants to see the unredacted documents in possession of the federal Justice Department, and they want to look at the investigative file New Mexico turned over to the DOJ years ago.
At this point, we don't have the full story, and what we understand is that most of that information was provided to the federal government and has not been provided back.
Help me understand that. Meaning the feds have it?
Yes, that's what we know.
And the feds have not shared that investigative file back with the state?
We've requested, the New Mexico Department of Justice has requested that information and hasn't received it back.
Is that troubling to you?
Troubling is one adjective. I'm also just, we're getting ready to subpoena for the same information if we can't get it through the Department of Justice.
Federal investigators never searched Zorro Ranch, but the state eventually did just recently in March, after the current New Mexico Attorney General opened his own investigation, granted permission to access what was Epstein's 7,500 acres, plus 1,200 more he leased from the state. NBC News obtained permits from New Mexico to see it for ourselves.
State investigators searched all of this in March. Epstein used to control this land back when the state leased it to him. But some wonder why that search didn't happen sooner and worry this could be the land of missed opportunities.
What if getting your master's degree in ministry didn't mean putting your life on hold? What if it worked with your call?
A DOJ spokesperson tells NBC News they welcome New Mexico undertaking additional investigations of the Zorro Ranch, and DOJ stands ready to provide any and all necessary assistance with New Mexico's investigations. The state's attorney general tells us he also wants to see the unredacted Epstein files, but hasn't received them yet from the DOJ, saying they're working through the process and hoping for full cooperation. NBC News asked the Justice Department about those documents and the investigative file, but the DOJ declined to comment on those specifics. What used to be Zorro is a working ranch these days, with construction over the gate from its new owner, a Texas real estate developer who bought the land in 2023 and who has voluntarily cooperated with state investigators. A spokesperson for Don Huffines tells NBC News that, to their knowledge, no physical evidence of criminal activity by the prior owner has been found. And despite the no trespassing signs that line the fence, they say the ranch has been subject to burglary and vandalism attempts. Huffines plans to build a Christian retreat here to transform it, he said, into a place of light, renaming the road San Rafael after the patron saint of healing.
I don't think that you could turn this space around with the horror that has happened here.
I don't know when I'm going to heal from it, to be honest with you.
Do you worry that it is too late now for real answers when it comes to Zorro Ranch?
No, not at all.
It's better late than never. And I think we always need to remember that no matter when these crimes occurred or what happened, that it doesn't change the fact that these victims should still get this platform.
This happened in our backyard. It's incredibly important that we tell it and tell the whole truth about it.
The truth, and maybe many years later, the hope for answers on the horizon.
Stay with NBC News now for continuing coverage of the Epstein investigations and the push for justice from survivors, including the family of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. On Saturday, they will honor her life 1 year after her death with a memorial here in Washington.
Okay, so that is just such a darn shame. We keep finding out more and more nefariousness as it pertains to Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm anxious to find out who are the co-conspirators. Are these people going to be prosecuted? Is anyone ever going to have any culpability for what has happened? And also, are they going to be looking for those bodies? Wolfie Israel said, evil investigating evil. Okay? Instead of running after Comey, they need to concentrate on this. Exactly. But no, Trump wants to spend his time firing science board members and then trying to prosecute his political enemies. Okay? He needs to be more worried about that fraudulent scene at the dinner the other night. We're going to go to some footage for that just for a quick laugh in a second, but hold on. I want you all to see this because remember those wildfires in Georgia, specifically Brantley County? Well, listen to what this guy says.
No big conspiracy theorist, but Brantley County, Georgia, on Saturday morning, we offered this truck that holds 5,000 gallons. This is a septic tank truck. Friday night, we spent all night cleaning it out, making sure it's sanitary so their pumps wouldn't get clogged if we had to fill up fire trucks. We bought all the fittings to fill up fire trucks. Went down there, went to 10 different places, minimal, probably more. Returned the right way, said the command center did not want it. We could have put water in the ditches. I mean, this was before it ever crossed 32. And 32 was dry as a bone. We could have put the water in the ditches. We could have done a lot of things. There's another guy, local guy. He took a tanker to Brantley County with a semi. He holds 10,000 gallons. He sat for 2 days and just finally come home. Now, we were told we could see it, but we can't just sit there for 2 days waiting. So, but we were told we were not needed. They didn't need water.
Said they didn't need water. Do you all hear this? They don't need water. The caption says, I'm tired of the news not updating often about this fire, turning away water trucks, septic trucks, tractors, and farm boys, all trying to help put this fire out, let alone telling fire trucks to stay put. They want us to burn. They want our land. Enough is enough. Honey, honey, when I tell you this low down, dirty country we live in, honey, this government is absolutely corrupt, in my opinion. Okay, please. This government is so corrupt, but they have the nerve to try to go in on other countries. Let's continue. We have a couple more clips and then I'm out of here, folks.
So the media is very mad that the American people think that Saturday's event was staged. I mean, the man did a Naruto run past security, where everybody jumped backwards as he passed them. Now, they say that he was firing shots when he was running. You can tell by the video that he wasn't. Also, I've never seen such a low-quality camera ever in my entire life. It's also interesting, a man that's been at the hotel for 24 hours and they don't have any photos of him except for when he was on the ground and this one really blurry video. Then we have Secret Service firing shots at the man. None hit. What happened to the bullets? We haven't been told. Secret Service conveniently had a note card that said J.D. Vance's name on it. After a weirdly long time, they finally get Trump out of there. Head exposed the entire time once again. The head of the FBI has no clue what's going on. And his wife was grabbing onto some other guy. I thought, that was weird. The head of Homeland Security was groping his wife. That was really weird. And Trump was spying on the whole situation from behind a room, not taking the situation seriously. We've never seen any photos or videos of the alleged weapons. And the security to get into this event was a piece of paper with gold lettering. Hey, at least you couldn't just print it off on a printer. But there was no barcode at all. But isn't this how events that are housing the top people in media and the Trump administration is supposed to operate? Right? And that's not even getting into the conspiracy. Was that Melania sitting next to Trump? Honestly, at this point, I have no clue. The camera did everything it could to try to avoid showing her face. But from what we could see, that doesn't look like her. Close, but it doesn't look like her. Maybe before the event, she just got Botox. Who knows? So the media is very mad that the
One more. Let's go to this footage.
Where's it coming from? What's the crossfire? We got one down. In there. What the? Oh my God!
I don't know. They have to
Stay down, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, stay down. Look.
It's so ridiculous.
What's your check?
Now, why were they sitting there looking so unbothered? Like, this is so ridiculous. And then look how they had the one little black guy sprinkled in for good measure. Did y'all see it? No, he was walking around pointing, and then says, "Where's it coming from?" Sorry, what? Are we supposed to fall for it? This is all crazy. Okay, Abdi says terrible acting. Okay, absolutely the worst. Honey, I've seen better Tubi movies. Okay, I've seen better acting in Tubi movies. This is all crazy. So that all been said, Misconstrued said, "Hey, Queen, I heard it's a sundown town that's burning." Yeah, I don't think so, beloved. I don't think so. I've never heard anything about that being a sundown town, but just for good measure, I looked it up. Based on available research, including the sundown towns in the United States database by James W. Lowen, there is no direct evidence or primary documentation confirming Brantley County, Georgia, was historically or currently established as a formal sundown town. Ooh, honey, this is all crazy. Cassandra said, "I counted 4 blacks." Okay. They need to stop. Like, are they serious? Kikoba said, "Timu, false flag flop." I'm sorry. This is all beyond ridiculous. Okay. This is beyond ridiculous.
Every time booking a sex date, my kick and words, my baby can't even on keeping money safe.
Okay, well, listen, I'm out of here, you guys. Love you all to life. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. I will be back in the morning with your morning wake-up call. Until then, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. All right, until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin?